Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotarhata Shishimati His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki Sri Sri Gaurani Tai ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. We welcome you all to the abode of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. We are going to celebrate a very beautiful festival of the bathing of Sri Jagannath, Baladev Subhadra Maharani in 3 weeks' time. The name of the festival, who knows the name of the festival? Snana Yatra. So we thought it will be good for us to meditate on Lord Jagannath, understand a bit about him, and that way we can develop a proper mood and appreciation. So we take advantage of this festival. Krishna, he takes unlimited incarnations. So many incarnations that scriptures tell us not to even bother counting. There is one other thing which Bhagavata Puran says we should not bother counting, especially in Kali Yuga, and that is how many mistakes we make. If I ask you, can you put a number for how many mistakes you made since leaving home and reaching the temple? Even that we can't count, because we do a lot of mistakes. So we don't need to bother so much about making mistakes. To err is human. To repeatedly err is also human. Only Krishna doesn't do mistakes, and that's why he got a very special name called Achyuta. Achyuta means one who doesn't make any mistakes at all. So in this world, Krishna takes unlimited avatars, and there are some pastimes of very special avatars which are highlighted again and again in the scriptures. In Satya Yuga, for example, Krishna appears in North India as Badrinath. In Treta Yuga, Krishna performed pastimes in South India as Ramnath, Rameshwaram. In Dwapar Yuga, he appeared as Dwarakanath in Western India. And in Kali Yuga, Krishna appears as Jagannath in Eastern India, in Jagannath Puri. So in our altar, if you see to your right, in the middle there is Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, and to your right there is an altar of very special form of Krishna, 3 of them. That's Krishna, who is known as Jagannath, big eyes. How many of you can see the big eyes? Put your hand up. And then you see another personality who is whitish in complexion with a big smile. He is the one who will always welcome you. You can look at his smile even from very far. So that is Jagannath. That is Balaram, Jagannath's brother. And then in the middle you see their sister, which is Subhadra. So it's a very, very special form. Normally when we hear about Krishna Leela, we get very rejuvenated. How many of you have seen this cartoon series called Little Krishna? Those of you who haven't, you have wasted your life. Go back to your home or even on the way, don't do it now. Search in Google, you don't know what you're missing. And when you watch, it'll bring the child inside us. You know, we may know the story. Many times we may have heard it since childhood. Sometimes if you read movie reviews, they say the story is as old as hills. This is actually older than hills. But still we don't feel bored. So many times we hear the same story because of its spiritual quality. You never feel bored. We feel like hearing more and more again and again. So this story of Jagannath, if we see, or story of Krishna, if you think it's attractive only to us, no, it's attractive even to Krishna. Akarsheti iti Krishna, which means the very name Krishna means the most attractive person. How attractive is he? He attracts everyone, all the living entities, including his own self. Krishna would get attracted looking at his own bimba, mirror image. If you get attracted, that's a problem. Narcissist, they say. But when Krishna gets attracted, it is sweet. Krishna's form is so beautiful that even he gets attracted. Now, if you want to know how Krishna would react when he hear about his own Leela, that's Jagannath. So once in Dwaraka, how many wives did Krishna have in Dwaraka? Yeah, if you are here for the first time, that number will shock you, but that's truth. 16,108 wives. That's how many Krishna had. He had those many palaces as well. Managing one partner is difficult. That's why we remain like this. 16,108. That's how many palaces Krishna had. That's how many wives also Krishna had. Each one of them, they are very, very devoted to him. And despite them being so meticulously serving, Krishna was still missing Vrindavan, the pure, simple love of the residents of Vrindavan. So one day, all the queens, who is the chief of all 16,108 queens? Rukmini. So they went and petitioned to Mother Rohini, who is mother of Balaram. So they asked her, we are trying so hard to serve him and we are meticulously serving, but despite our best efforts, Krishna always keeps talking about these Brajavasis. Who are they? So Mother Rohini, she started to tell all 16,108 of them about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And to make sure, because it's very confidential in nature, and to make sure that nobody hears that, nobody unqualified hears that confidential pastimes, Mother Rohini had deputed Subhadra Maharani, who is the sister, you see, in the middle, one small girl. So that's Subhadra Maharani, who is Krishna Balram's sister, to guard the door. So she was standing just outside the door, guarding. How many of you have experience guarding or doing any security service? Very thankless service. You will get cursed by everyone. So Subhadra Maharani was hearing, but as she heard Rohini Mata's narration of Krishna Leela, she went into ecstasy. Her eyes became very big. If you really want to know how people would react to hearing Krishna Leela, as I said, watch little Krishna and you watch others watching, and then you will see the fun there. So that's how ecstatic Subhadra Maharani was. And as soon as Krishna and Balaram, they came to know that Rohini Mata is narrating about their own Leela, they also rushed to that spot. Subhadra Maharani, what is she supposed to do? She is supposed to guard the door. But she was in ecstasy. She didn't realize Krishna and Balaram coming right next. I remember once I was singing Gaura Arati Kirtan. Gaura Arati lyrics, you can see that in the board, laminated sheet, little complex. So I asked one devotee to hold it right next to me. I was singing and I was playing kartal in my hand. And then I closed my eyes and I said, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, and I opened my eyes. This devotee was dancing. My sheet is gone. Then I had to call him like, hey, please come. That's what happened for Subhadra Maharani. She got so engrossed in hearing, she forgot about her duty. She didn't even realize Krishna and Balram coming. So Krishna and Balram come, they also hear. And as they heard about their own Leela, the whole body actually went through transformation. They became so excited. How did they look at that point? That's what you see here as Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani. Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Keej. So Krishna's Leela, his pastimes are so sweet, it attracts him so much. Now because Krishna is in this form, in a very, very ecstatic form, normally when you are very happy, you tend to be very generous, right? Very benevolent. So at that point, whoever asks Krishna anything, he'll give. Okay, take it. In fact, in this mood of Jagannath, it is said, he is so merciful, even if a drunkard comes in a very inebriated state and just falls on the ground, Jagannath's mood is, he would think, such a great devotee, he is paying obeisances to me. So this is his mood. So Prabhupada said, especially in Kali Yuga, he appeared in this form to deliver all of us. So Jagannath is the first deity who Srila Prabhupada installed in Western country. So he is the first ISKCON deity. Prabhupada installed him in US. In fact, there is a very sweet pastime. So first day Prabhupada installs, and then second day Prabhupada comes to the temple, deities are not there. And he asks, hey, where are the deities? Then the devotee said, Prabhupada, we went for a walk singing Harinam, we just took them with us. Then Prabhupada chastised them, saying, no, Jagannath, you should not take him every day, only once in a year he goes out. But they thought we are going for a stroll, let us take them also. Jagannath is very sweet, because his mood is so merciful, he doesn't take any offenses. He is known as Patita Pavana. Patita means one who is fallen. Pavana means one who picks up those who are fallen. So to worship Jagannath, there is no hard and fast rules at all. That's a segue for my first pastime for this evening. I have got like 7 pastimes. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we'll see. Ramanujacharya, who is none other than incarnation of Adisesh or Lakshman, Balram himself, is the most famous Sri Vaishnava Acharya. He visits different places of pilgrimage and he arrives in Jagannath Puri. And when he goes to Jagannath Puri, he gets shocked to see how intimately people worship Jagannath. So early in the morning, if you go to Jagannath temple, they deal with them exactly like how will you take care of your babies. Towel around your waist. You struggle very hard to brush the teeth of your kids. They even have tongue cleaner for the Supreme Lord. So when he sees a very simple worship, but at the same time, it was devoid of any kind of devotional formality, which we are supposed to observe. We should not get too close to the deities when we worship, because he is Supreme Lord. He has mercifully come in a small form so we can worship. That's why whenever we talk about the size of the deity, we never say, Lord is this small or this small. We always use this way. Lord is unlimited, but he has come in a limited size. So if you want to show the size of Radha Gopinath, how would you show? Show me. Yeah, I can see everyone struggling. Both hands should be facing the opposite direction. Understand? So this is how any deity form you say. Because Lord is unlimited, but he has come limited. You never say this way. This one you can say for your baby. But Supreme Lord is always like that. So once they asked Prabhupada, Krishna can come in big form. Prabhupada says he can even come in Vishwarupa form, but you can't make a garland for him. So Krishna, out of his mercy, he has come down in a form which is easier for us to serve him. That's all. That doesn't mean his Shakti, his potency, his mercy has got reduced in any way. Okay, it is the same Swayam Bhagavan, but he has come in different ways to evoke a certain mood of worship within our hearts. So Ramanujacharya, when he goes there, he was shocked to actually see how people were just very spontaneously worshipping him. So he tells them, this is not the proper way to worship because he is Swayam Bhagavan, so you have to follow the proper rules. Then Gajapati, the king of Puri, he also admits, yes, we need to be trained properly. Ramanujacharya, after all, he is a great Acharya. So they have him run a training session. So he teaches them, this is how you are supposed to worship, this is the time you are supposed to wake up, this is how you are supposed to do offering, everything. So after training everyone, that night Ramanujacharya, when he sleeps, Jagannath comes in his dream and he says, what you have taught them is true elsewhere, but as far as this particular place is concerned, Purushottam Kshetra, also known as Shanka Kshetra, here I like the spontaneous mood of them worshipping me. So he says, let them continue to worship, but as long as you are here, out of respect for you, they would take up a formal worship, but it won't please me. So then he says, so just to avoid any kind of commotion, I'm going to transport you. So Ramanujacharya sleeps in Puri. When he wakes up, when he was asleep, Jagannath sends Garuda. Garuda carries him and places him in one South Indian village, which is also a holy place called Kurmakshetra. So Jagannath, he accepts worship from everyone. During the time, 15 days, like when we have Snana Yatra, after Snana Yatra, there is a period called as Anavasara Kala. So the pastime is, in India, if you see, here it's very cold, correct? In India, you know, if you're following the news or even if you have been recently, weather is going north of like what, 45, 50. Now people are doubting, are the metrics correct? It's gone that worse. So Snana Yatra, when it is celebrated, it's peak summer in India. So the pastime is during Snana Yatra, Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra Maharani, because of being excessively bathed in cold water, they catch cold and they fall sick. So after they fall sick for a 15-day period, the darshan will be closed. So don't miss this festival of Snana Yatra, because after Snana Yatra you can't take darshan of Jagannath for the next 15 days. Only the pujaris will take darshan during that time, and during that time Jagannath is offered different herbs, herbal tea, fruits, nuts, very light meal, like that. So Jagannath is very personal in terms of dealing with the devotees. He is very personal in terms of accepting the worship of the devotees also. There is one devotee, his name is Mohanty. He was a great worshipper of Lord Jagannath. He lived far away from Puri, comes from a very impoverished background. So the place where he had his family, it became afflicted with famine. He tried begging food, he couldn't get anything, so he tells his family members, don't worry, I have a friend in Puri, let us go there, he'll help us. So giving them hope that way, they all walk their way to Jagannath Puri. And by the time they arrive at the temple was closed. So they arrived very late and everyone was feeling hungry. So what Mohanty did was, he took his family members to the side of the temple, and there is a place where they usually cook rice. If you see the traditional way of cooking rice, after you cook the rice, they will filter out the starch water. And they say usually if you do that, chances for you to get affected by diabetes is less. Vedic way of cooking. Normally we just cook everything, take everything. So the water which they filter out, the cows would actually come and they would drink. Mohanty was so poor, so he arrives there and along with his family members, Just to pass the night, they quenched their thirst and hunger by taking that starch water. And they went to sleep. Meanwhile, the pujaris, they also put the Lord to rest, but Jagannath was feeling restless. My devotee has come, having so much hope on me, praying so much to me. How can I sleep peacefully? So Jagannath immediately, he takes the form of an old Brahmana, goes to his own storeroom, picks up a golden plate, and starts to pile up all dry sweetmeats, all the dry food, bhoga, which they had cooked to offer to him, and brings it outside at the gate, and he calls, "Oh Mohanty." So Mohanty is still sleeping along with his family members just outside the temple, and he thinks someone is calling, someone else. Then he says, "Oh Mohanty, I am calling you." Then he wakes up and he sees the Brahmana. Brahmana gives him the plate, and he says, "You take this, I'll come shortly and get the plate back from you." And then he leaves. Meanwhile, Mohanty, he comes, wakes up all his family members. They all become very happy because they hadn't eaten for so many weeks. And finally they eat. Everyone feels very satisfied. Mohanty washes the plate, goes back to find the Brahmana. He couldn't find. Then he just wraps up the plate in a cloth, keeps it along with his belongings, thinking that he would return back the next day morning. Next day morning, pujaris come, wake up the Lord. When they go to prepare his bhoga plate, surprise, plate was missing. And then they raise the alarm. Then they finally trace back Mohanty, and they think they catch him they caught him red-handed. They take him to the king. He was put in jail. And then he didn't have much opportunity to explain himself or even to prove his innocence. So in that situation, he sits in the jail and he prays to Jagannath. "Jagannath, you are my only hope. I had come bringing my family here, but here I am caught in such a trouble. If you are so pleased with me, please save me, help me out of this situation." Jagannath goes in the dream of the Puri king. And then Jagannath chastises him. "O king, if somebody had come to your home as a guest, is it etiquette that you would serve them?" And the king is still sleeping, and he said, "Yes." "And if they had come especially from such an impoverished condition, would you be kind enough to serve them?" Then the king said, "Yes." And Jagannath says, "Well, I did the same. I used my plate. Is that your property? It's my property. I had served my devotee with my own plate just to take care of him and his family. And look at what you have done. You have imprisoned him. Release him immediately, otherwise I'll punish you. And not only that, you take care of him, give him accommodation, give him food, take care of his family, so that for rest of their lives they didn't have to worry about food." And then, true to Jagannath's instructions, the king made all the arrangements, and from that particular Leela onwards, Mohanty came to be known as Bandhu Mohanty. Bandhu means relative of the Supreme Lord. So one of Krishna's name is Jagat Bandhu, Dina Bandhu. Dina means one who is needy. So normally in this world, when we lose, if a person becomes bankrupt, they think they have lost everything. But no, right at that point when the person has lost everything, Krishna becomes their possession. That's why Krishna's special name is Dina Bandhu. Dina Bandhu means one who has lost everything, Krishna becomes their property. Okay, so nobody in this world is Anath. Anath means orphan. So Krishna is the relative of everyone. Dina Bandhu, Jagat Bandhu. Jagat means all the living entities in the whole world. Krishna is the friend of all living entities. Prabhupada would often say, Krishna provides food for elephants and they eat tons of grasses every day. Krishna provides food for even tiny little worms which you will find in the cracks. There is a type of frog that would live inside the cavities of rocks. Krishna provides food even for them. So Krishna's name is Dinabandhu, Jagatbandhu. Dinanath also. You will come across Lord of the needy. So this is the mood of Lord Jagannath. Jagannath doesn't take any offenses at all. His eyes is very big. Acharyas say the reason why his eyes is very big is, even if we do tiny little devotion for him, he will magnify it. Normally we want to have that arrangement, right? Anything. If you study for exam, you just want to study just for an hour and you want to be number one. For working also, you want to work just for an hour. Terms and conditions apply, that too. But you want to get paid for the whole day. It's not possible, stop dreaming, but it's possible in devotion. Even if we do little bit. This month is Baishaka. If you take a Vaishnava calendar, there are 3 holy months. Take a guess, what's the first holy month? Okay, I know everyone knows that. 2 more. One is Baishaka. I have already given the answer. Kartik month, Kartik month, Kartik month. 3 times. So Kartik is first, second is Vaishak, and third is Magh. In Kartik Mas, how do you express your devotion? Offer your devotion? Lamps. In Magh, how? No? Yes, thank you. You take bath in Ganga. Now, we are not close to Ganga, but you can still take the same effect. Puranas say, simply by chanting Ganga, Ganga, Ganga 3 times. So if you come to the ashram, every morning you will hear, one person takes bath, Ganga, Ganga, another one. So you can chant even under the shower, you chant Ganga. Say, Ganga, Ganga, Ganga. Okay, good. Now you do that when you do the actual bath also. If you do that, then that is equivalent to taking bath in Ganga directly. So in Magh, you do devotion by taking bath in Ganga, Magmas. This is Baishak. How do you express your devotion? There is one particular devotional activity, just like you offer lamp in Kartik Mas, you take bath normally also, but specially on Magh Mas. Likewise, for Baishak, there is one special devotional activity that is recommended in the scriptures, which you do extra. What is it? Chanting the holy name of the Lord. Raise your arms up. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So whenever you get opportunity, we are supposed to do this 365 days a year. At least do it more this month, because every mantra you chant, you get 100 times the benefit. It's specifically mentioned for this month. And we are in Baishak. So keep that in mind. So Krishna is like that. Even if you do something very, very tiny, you will always come across magnified benefits. And Jagannath gives the maximum benefit. Always. There is one devotee by name Raghudas. Simple devotee. He loved making garlands for Jagannath. If you go to South India, they may do that in North India also, but especially in South India, they don't use thread to make garlands. They use the banana fiber. How many of you have seen garlands made of banana fiber? They use that as the thread. It takes a special knack and you make it tight. They make so many different varieties. That's the Vedic style of doing. So he makes it. He takes it to the pujari. Pujari rejects it, saying, this is of low quality. I won't do. And that evening, same pujari tries to dress Gopinath, offering garland. Jagannath is rejecting it. No, I don't want. No matter how much the pujari tried, it somehow wasn't fitting Lord Jagannath. Then that night, Jagannath was without garland. Pujari goes to sleep. Jagannath comes in the dream and he says, my devotee Raghu, with so much love and devotion, he had offered the garland. You have rejected it. That's why I had rejected yours. So the priest goes to the king next day, and then the king recognizes Raghudas's special devotion, and then he makes a decree, a law, rule that whatever that's made by Raghu, has to be offered to Jagannath. So Jagannath had a very friendly relationship with Raghu. So one day, Jagannath comes to Raghu and he says, come, let's go and steal some fruits. Then Raghu says, my lord, this whole world, universe belongs to you. That's why you're known as Jagannath. The king is your order carrier. You can just tell to the king would actually get it, or you wait here, I'll go and get. Then Jagannath tells him, you see, my father was the king of all cowherds. We had 900,000 cows. That's how many cows Nanda Baba had in Vrindavan. Despite Yashoda Maya making such beautiful offering of butter, I rejected that and I went stealing, because when you steal and eat, it's tasting more good. So he says, what's the fun in going and asking the king to do? Let's go and steal. Then Raghudas thinks, well, Supreme Lord says, let us go. So he goes to the king's garden. Jagannath chooses. So they go, and then Jagannath tells him, okay, you climb up this tree, you go pick the biggest jackfruit possible, and then you pluck it, and you throw it, I'll catch, and then you come down, we'll run away from here and we'll have a good feast of jackfruit. Then Raghu climbs up and he asks Jagannath, Jagannath, is this good? Jagannath says, yes, good. He picks it and he says, Jagannath, are you ready? Jagannath says, yes, I am ready. And then Raghu throws, Jagannath runs away. Big jackfruit comes, lands on the ground, bursts, waking up all the guards, and all the guards come. Put yourself in that position. Jagannath, not again. So then all the guards come and they see Raghu is still there. At the wit's end, he is still sitting on the branch, and they immediately run to bring the king. King comes, and then the king asks, Raghu, what is this? Get down. And then everyone already knew about his exalted status. So when Raghu narrates about what Jagannath did to him, everyone were delighted to know about the naughty nature of Jagannath. If you go to Puri, and we'll have this in Liverpool Ratha Yatra also in July, the Lord is actually pulled on a big chariot. It is said whoever who touches the rope, then don't have to take birth again. Now you may think, is it really true? Try it. And you will come to know after you die. You know. In one place, Prabhupada was on a morning walk, and then Prabhupada asks his disciples, why don't you practice bhakti? And then he tells his disciples, now you argue from an atheistic point. So his disciples argue, Prabhupada, you ask us to worship Krishna, chant Hare Krishna. What if all of this is fake? What if there is no such person called Krishna? What if this mantra is something, some hocus pocus made up by someone? What if all of this is just like a conspiracy theory, something that doesn't exist, people just made it up? Aren't we wasting our time? Prabhupada says, all right, let's go with your argument and let's assume there is no Supreme God. Still, you chant Hare Krishna, you come together on a Sunday feast, have good fun, chant, dance for Krishna. Karunamai Prabhu will nicely sing also. Gaura Arati. You can take prasad, get association, and then you lead a very happy life. So Prabhupada says, in that case, even if there is no Krishna, what's the loss? Agree? It's a very sound, logical argument. You lead a very clean life, you have good relationship with others, you lead a very healthy life, and you are very happy. By practicing bhakti, even if there is no such person called Krishna, even if Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is something that's made up. So Prabhupada says, what's the loss? On the other hand, so then when you die, you would take the same destination as everyone else in this world. Correct? Which means you don't stand to lose anything by practicing bhakti, even if there is no Krishna. But Prabhupada says, but what if all of this is true? What if there is a person called Krishna? What if his name is non-different from him? And what if whatever we are taught through Shastras is real? Prabhupada says, in that case, we will be happy still during the whole life. And when we die, we will go to Goloka, Vrindavan, and you will all go to hell. Prabhupada says like that. So logically, we can convince our mind. Sometimes our mind throws this argument, why should I go? Sunday evening. I'm pretty sure every other person in this room would have had this thought in your mind. Krishna is everywhere. It's after all cold outside. I can watch Krishna Darshan from Mayapur TV also. Why should I go? No, Krishna marks your attendance every single time you come. I never tire sharing about this story of Lord Ram. Once when one Brahmana asked Hanuman about a list of names with Lord Ram maintains. Hanuman goes, gets the list, gives it to the Brahmana. Brahmana goes through the list and then he finds his name there. He feels very happy, but much to his surprise, he doesn't see Hanuman's name there. So when he goes and tells Hanuman, hey, this is a very special book Lord Ram is maintaining and that has names of everyone. My name is there, I'm so happy, but your name isn't there. Sorry to tell you that. Hanuman says to the Brahmana, well, Lord Ram has another notebook. So then they go, Brahmana gets curious, gets the other notebook, and when he sees that notebook is very small, unlike the first one, and that notebook had Hanuman's name right at the top, and it has only very few more devotees' names. And then when asked, what's the difference? Lord Ram says, the first book is the list of names of devotees who never forget and they always remember Lord Ram. And second book is the list of names of all the devotees who Lord Ram always remembers. I said this story in one program and I asked, how many of you would like your name to be in the second book? Everyone put the hand up. I said, because that's the lazy way out, correct? How do we have our name going to the second small book? How can we make Lord Ram, Radha Gopinath to think about us is by first having our name in the first notebook, correct? We need to put our effort. So you put your effort and don't think Lord Shri Radha Gopinath, they are not noticing. They are noticing, looking at each one of you. And they are making a note. Every single time we come, every single prayer we actually offer in front of them. Once Harishwari Prabhu asks Prabhupada, does Krishna answer all prayers which we offer? Prabhupada says, yes. Every single word, every single thought you utter to Krishna, you think about Krishna and you utter, Krishna will fulfill it. In timing, there may be some difference. That's what Prabhupada said. Okay, so Krishna is very, very personal and he notices each one of us. Jagannath, very, very personal. Jagannath's mood is, he is king, grown up, but his mood is like that of a baby. He is a grown up baby. He doesn't take any offense at all, just like little kids. They don't take any offense. Even if they fight with each other, never take sides when kids fight with each other. They'll make friendship in no time and they'll move on. And you will still hold the enmity with the other person. Jagannath's mood is like that. So during Ratha Yatra, even if somebody touches the rope of the chariot, it's mentioned, one will never have to take birth again in this world. So when we have Liverpool Ratha Yatra, please make your time to come there and pull the Ratha little bit. We have tried everything. Paragliding, bungee jumping, snorkeling. Now do chariot pulling also. What's the loss? We have done everything. So, but if we do, what if all of this is true? Going by Prabhupada's logical statement. There is no sentiment here. Blind sentiment here. Okay, I'll tell one more story. So during the Ratha Yatra pulling, you will see in our tradition, you will always have someone to sweep in front. This tradition goes all the way back to many, many ages ago. The king of Puri always puts himself as the servant. Jagannath is the king of Puri, but the king, Gajapati, is just the caretaker. So once there was a king by name Purushottam Deva. He goes to South India to a place called Kanchipuram. There he makes a friendship with the king of Kanchi. And the king of Kanchi offers his daughter, Padmavati, in marriage to Purushottam Deva, which he very happily accepts the proposal. And then the arrangement was they would agree upon a future date of marriage and they would perform the marriage. Purushottam goes back to Puri. Few months roll by, and the king of Kanchi sends his minister with the proposed marriage date. So when the minister from Kanchi arrives in Puri, it coincides with Rath Yatra day. So when the minister comes, at that time he sees Purushottam Dev sweeping. Minister, without knowing about the tradition of Jagannath Puri, he goes back to the king and he tells him, "Oh my dear king, please don't give your daughter to this person." Even though he professed himself to be a great king, he is actually a sweeper. That's what he did. Don't give your daughter to this sweeper. So then the king of Kanchi sends a letter that I'm cancelling the marriage because I don't want to give my daughter, my princess, to a sweeper. Purushottam Dev feels very insulted. How can someone insult the service of Lord Jagannath? Prabhupada, when he installed the deities in Hyderabad temple, Prabhupada says, don't think that I, as your spiritual master, he is speaking to his own disciples, applies to all of us. Don't think that, oh, my guru gave pujari service to some devotees, cooking service to some devotee and cleaning service to me. No. Prabhupada says there is no difference in that service. Shortly after this you will see pujari offering service. How much of a credit the pujari takes, we all take. Shortly you will see one devotee leading the kirtana here. How much credit he takes by singing, we all take the same credit by following. How much credit I take by glorifying about Lord Jagannath, you take exactly same credit by hearing. This is how bhakti works. Bhakti is always a collective investment. We all do together, everyone take the same credit. So sweeping is also a devotional activity. When Purushottam Dev sees that the king of Kanchi was actually insulting, he wages a war against the king of Kanchi. So he goes, first day he goes, and the camp where they had actually set up, it catches fire. Because of that, Purushottam Dev had to temporarily retreat back. When he retreats back, he feels very sorry and he prays to Jagannath. Jagannath, the king of Kanchi insulting me, I don't mind. But him insulting your service, that is something I take it very, very personally. Their army is so big and ours is very small. If you so desire, please help us. And Jagannath comes in his dream and he says, don't worry, me and my brother, we ourselves will personally ride on horse and we'll fight for you. So when he wakes up, he then rallies his army saying, Krishna Balram themselves have assured that they would come. And then with renewed enthusiasm, the whole army marches towards Kanchi again. And along the way, they get stopped by one old lady. Her name is Manika. Can you imagine a huge army coming? And then one old lady says, stop. And then the king says, what's the problem? First to pay my bill. Bill? Then he says, yeah, 2 of your soldiers came couple of hours ago. And they said they are feeling very thirsty. And they took all the milk products. They drank all the buttermilk. Took all the yogurt, butter also. And when I asked them to pay, they said our king will pay. And when she said, what's the proof? Based on what can I actually go and charge the king? They just gave us their ring and they said, show this to the king and the king will pay you very dear. And then she shows the ring. When Purushottam Dev sees that, he realizes the ring was none other than Lord Jagannath himself. So then Purushottam Dev gives her not just a few amount of wealth, he makes a law And you can still see that actually. She writes group of villages in that whole area in her name and names that place as Manikapatana. Literally meaning the property of this lady, Manika. It is still called by the same name. And then by the time Purushottam Deva arrives at the battlefield, Krishna Balrama had already finished them off. And then finally Purushottam Dev, he imprisons the daughter, innocent daughter. She would be like, what did I do? My dad did. And then brings her and he tells the minister, they have insulted us, let us insult back. Now you find a real sweeper and then marry her to that sweeper. Then the minister says, sure my lord. And the minister waits for next year Ratha Yatra. And on that Ratha Yatra day, he gets the princess nicely decorated and he comes in front of the king, Purushottam Dev, and he says, my lord, I found a suitable match for this princess of Kanchi. And he says, who is it? Conduct the marriage. Then he tells to the princess, okay, garland the king. And then the minister says, today you are the sweeper and you are the match which I actually found for this girl. And that way he unites them together. So you'll find many, many pastimes like that. There is a book called Jagannath. You can find that in the book table. You can get it. Reading this will actually strengthen our faith, strengthen our resolve. Rukmini ji, who is the chief of all Krishna's 16,108 queens, she develops attraction for Krishna not by seeing, but by hearing only. So much attraction that she was ready to give up her life. That's the love letter she sends to Krishna. That my lord, ever since I have heard about you from Narada Muni, I have lost my heart. You accept me. If you don't accept me, I'll just do tapasya and I'll keep taking birth again and again and again. I'll keep on continuing during this austerity until you accept me. So we should never think, I haven't seen Krishna face to face. Now we have seen Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki. They are so beautifully standing there, giving blessings, remembering all of our prayers. Remember this instruction of Prabhupada. Krishna remembers all of our prayers. So don't shy away or feel shy in asking. You ask whatever that you want and then leave it to Krishna. My lord, this is what I think is best for me. Whatever you think is best, you please reciprocate. And he will do. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Samaved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Snana Yatra Mahotsav ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. May we request everyone to please stand up. We'll be having the Arati. Hare Krishna.
भगवान की, इस ग्रज घनश्याम प्रभु की। नमो विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमः विष्णुपादाय नमस्ते सरस्वती।